Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Welcome to Friday Night Live. Thanks for coming and hanging out. It's good to see you all again. We got Harley, we got Kyle, we got Babinga. I saw Secret's up there too. Brian Wallace is hanging out, and Tori G's here so far, and I'm sure some other people are going to come rolling in whenever they're ready. No big deal. How is everyone doing? Looks like pretty well. Somebody saw Chicago recently, which is pretty awesome. Kyle did. That's really cool. Everybody's having a good time. Everybody's happy. Everybody's happy. What's going on, Lawrence? Thanks for coming and hanging out. What's going on, Billy? Today's an interesting day. Because, and that's kind of a little bit of what we're going to get into today. And other than what the title of this stream is, which is always make your artists, like always appease your artists, like do what you can for your artists. That's the idea of today. Aside from that, which we will get into, what I want is to answer your guys' questions. So by all means, and help me throughout this stream, remind people who come in to just drop questions in the chat and we'll get into whatever we can do. Because today's stream is a little different than normal because it's kind of ethics, philosophical. That's where I'm coming from here. So let me give you a little bit of... Sorry. Email came through and it shouldn't have come through now, but no big deal. Here's a little bit of backstory of the idea of today's video. For a show at the Art Center this year. Very nice, Kyle. So yeah. You're gonna, and Babinga's gonna be his own artist. That's really cool. Ironweeds is here. What's up, Ironweeds? Okay, so the backstory of today's episode and what we're gonna talk about for at least a little while today. If you guys don't know, I do offer lessons. And if you are interested in taking some of these lessons, really one of the best ways to do it is either email me or you can join the Discord and then you can just reach out to me there and I'll tell you how to sign up for lessons. So I was working with a student today and I've mixed a song for this artist and she... using Studio One, she's new to recording herself, but she's, pretty talented as an artist herself. So she's doing everything in MIDI and she's creating all of her songs and all of this stuff. So that was the primary purpose of today's lesson, is to get a little deeper into MIDI. And she knows that my MIDI knowledge isn't the best, but I'm always learning and I'm always, trying to keep ahead of things. I know enough to get myself and now her into trouble. But the lesson really didn't start off with MIDI stuff. It started off with the fact that I've mixed one song for her and then she went to another mixer. And that's part of the gig. You don't win every client. You sometimes, mix a song, sounds cool. But they want to work with somebody else. That's part of the gig. And I have no problem with that. That's what this job entails. She sent 2 songs to the other engineer who she described them as, and I'm not going to put names or anything out there because I don't know this other engineer. I have no idea about him. What's going on, Blades? And Music and Emotion, what's up? So the other engineer she described as a realist, and he was telling her that her music's not good enough. Nobody's gonna pay her to make this music. She gave him a song and said, hey, I want you to do some production on this as well, but I have a budget. Here's what it is. It's X amount of dollars. So, let's put everything together. And they came back at double the budget. And for some reason, probably out of pressure, because just the way it was described to me, it was more of like a power trip kind of thing of she paid it. She paid double her budget. And in the end, she wasn't She was okay with how everything came out, but left such a nasty taste in her mouth. And actually half of our lesson today was really just that philosophical kind of thing. It was like that philosophical, the lesson was the philosophical kind of thing of like, you're the artist, you know, this is what I was telling her. And, you know, Babinga or any of you guys, when you're working with your artists, you as the engineer for tracking, mixing, mastering, anything you're doing, you're just there to help serve. This is a service industry thing. I am here to help you. You are the star artist, or you guys here. I love these associations. If you're a fan of Lord of the Rings or Star Wars, you're Frodo, I'm Gandalf. You're Luke, I'm Obi-Wan. I'm here to guide you. And that's what, you know, I do for you guys here in these live streams, and that's what I do for all of my artists is when I get stuff to mix or record or anything like that. I'm here to help you along the way. I'm not the star of the show. You're the star of the show. And it really sparked a conversation with my student about how that's not how any of us, and I know you guys, I know you guys, you would never do that. But it really kind of like hit me today. It was like that. I would be furious with myself. So where would Baby Yoda be in this? Oh, with Mando. Tracking bass in the other room. I don't know, Mando seems like a bass player to me. And like a good one too. Not like your standard bass player. It really struck something with me, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk with you guys. Now, we'll keep talking, but again, if you have questions, drop them in the chat, and I'll answer your questions about Studio One, about how to help your artists some more, how to help yourself help your artists, how to, you know, whatever you want to ask in the comments. Just by all means, tag me in it. It'll be a little easier for me to find. So, you know, after a good amount of discussion with her, and then we went into the actual lesson going over MIDI, which maybe we'll do today, because we went over just the basics of sound design and attack, decay, sustain, release, and how that affects a sound. So maybe we'll do that. Who knows? But we're here to make our own music, make music with each other that's here right now, make music with our artists who hire us for the work that we do and how we do it, and our ears and all that other stuff. But another reason that artists will come to you is that it's your ethics. And so don't be just the guy in the recording studio who's like, I bought all this stuff in the 90s or the 80s or whatever it is, and I just hit record. That's my job. Nobody's going to want to listen to this because it's not Steely Dan. It's not, you know, anybody. It's not these people. You're there because they have a vision, and they've reached out to you to help them achieve that vision and achieve that sound. They've also reached out to you to impart a little bit of your taste in it as well and help enhance their sounds. So why would you shutter somebody who's trying to work with you, somebody who has put enough faith into you as the engineer to just say, don't work with me anymore because I don't like working with you anymore, but I'm not willing to say that. That doesn't make sense to me. You know, like I said earlier, I didn't get the full mixing gig. This engineer got a few more songs from this artist, and that's fine. She's still my student, and after today, she might become an artist that I work with again. Who knows? That's entirely up to her, and I respect that because, you know, just like when you're shopping for when you're looking for a plumber, you're looking for an electrician, you're looking for a place to hold a party, You look around and you call and you ask and you call up your friend. You go, Kyle, I'm looking for a place to kind of throw a party. Do you know any cool venues? Do you know any cool bands that could play to just kind of like liven the place? You ask around, and that word of mouth is huge. So why like ruin yourself and your own reputation by not helping and not giving your all to help the people that have come to you asking for help? Think about that for a second. While you're thinking about it, I'm going to catch up with you guys in the chat because I'm going to do it and you can't stop me. Let's go up a little bit. Bops is here. I see that Bops is here. What's going on? Brian Wallace, I have so many questions. I have this click in my knee. Any thoughts? Yes. It's a plastic knee. That's my initial thought. It's probably wrong. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not even a professional at this. You guys have seen me. Come on. Blades is dropped in. What's going on, Blades? Everybody saying hi to Music to Motion. What's up, bud? Music to Motion. Discord link in the description. Thanks for reminding me last week. Also, I do have a fan going, so if you guys hear that, it's because it's already 83 degrees in here. It's ludicrous. No, Robert, you were not a distraction or detracting me at all. Sometimes it's good to drop in a little anecdote about Baby Yoda and Mando and all that other stuff. It happens. The perception of creating gold from lead. Yes, and that's something that you do have to kind of bring up front when you're working initially with a new client. Is like, listen, I can only work with what you are bringing to the table, and I will bring my all to the table as well. So, that thing of changing lead to gold, or, polishing a turd. I like that one. Meh. Exactly. Brian Wallace says it here. If someone is paying you, they are the boss. We're still in customer service. Music and audio engineering is a service industry. We are here because this artist has reached out to you for your ethics and your style and your sound to help enhance their sound, to help push them forward. So you are at their service to help them move along. Again, I'm going to go back. I'm Obi-Wan. You're Luke. So you guys are Gandalf to Frodo. So I lost it. Secret, I saw your message. Here it is. Request, if you have any time. I'm sure we do, because we do. On how to import production projects from Ableton or other DAWs to work on mixes. So, we could just talk about that real quick. One way to do it is if you're doing like a bunch of MIDI production stuff in the other DAWs, almost like the way you would do it in Studio One, and they all call it something different, and I don't remember what Ableton calls it. But when you're trying to transfer stuff like that, you could transfer, hang on, I'm going to look it up real quick, and you guys don't need to see this, you need to export, what is it? It's an OMF file, which does it save, convert to, all right, hang on, maybe you guys can see this. Ready? Here we go. This is the session from last week, and don't worry, I'm not going to play this out of time thing. I do like the chords and everything that we did last week, but I'm not going to play it. In Studio One, you would go up to here, and you would do convert to, you could do a zip file, and it'll zip everything up for you. AAF, I think, is the one. And then an AAF file captures the location data and the audio and exports all of that so that you can send it to a different DAW. Or you can just do it the old-fashioned way like you would do in Studio One, and you just go to Song, export stems, and then anything you need to do to mix somewhere else, it'll consolidate, or it'll put the marker at, the start flag in Studio One and print everything from there as audio files. You drag those into Studio One or your other DAW of choice, and you do your additional work from there. So, Zachary, I hope that answers your question. Don't let it get you down. You'll never please all, and sometimes it does not work. Correct. You can't please everyone, and you just can't sometimes. And failures in this industry are plentiful, but you just have to move on to the next thing, because if you don't, you're going to just resent it, and you're going to become a grumpy engineer, and nobody wants that. We're here to make the world better with awesome music, or music if you're bops. Robert, you have a question about this. I'm probably going to catch up to it in a bit in the chat, so by all means, if you didn't, please drop it in. Lawrence, can I use the same MIDI keyboard on two different tracks without sounds bleeding over to each other? Now, Lawrence, I'm going to ask a question. If you're asking, are you trying to record on the two tracks with the one MIDI controller at the same time? If you're just doing like one and then the other, let me know. But if you're trying to do two different sounds on two different MIDI instruments with one controller at the same time, just let me know. Let's do a little clarification, then we'll get into your question. It's a good question, though. Let's see. Wow, you just aged me about 25 years. You're welcome, Brian. You're welcome. Okay, here, I got some. Okay, here, from Robert. Question. I understand that as an engineer, you facilitate the customer, but what if they don't want any input? If they don't want any input, then that's what you give them. You give them exactly what they ask for. They have asked for you to record their tracks to the best of their ability and the best of your ability. If they're asking for no input and somebody messes up a guitar take, kind of judge the room a little and be like, hey, I kind of heard a thing. Do you want to listen to it? Do you want to try it again? If not, it's cool. But not sugarcoat it, but you play into them. So, if they want nothing, you still do the best job that you can. They want you to track their band. Cool. By all means, track their band. That's what they need. They just need somebody to record it. So give them something that they can go, well, you know what? The next time we need to record, we're definitely coming back. We got exactly what we asked for, an awesome recording. We got maybe a little bit of insight because, John messed up the guitar part in the verse B. So, he pointed it out and we did our thing, and you move on from there. Maybe if you're like, something's really killing you, you can very gently bring it up saying like, hey, can we, I noticed when we were doing this that such and such a thing happened. You sang this note a little bit off, or this note, don't blame them. So like, hey, I was listening, while we were listening and you recorded the vocals. Awesome job, by the way. But one of the notes seemed to clash. Maybe we need to check that real quick and let's see if it sits in. Can we listen to it? And then you kind of go in that way. Ooh, the focus. There it goes. You go at it that way. Like, you don't blame them. You just say like, hey, I noticed something while we were doing this. Can I just, and blame yourself if you want. Like, I think I am hearing something crazy. Can I take a listen real quick? And then you kind of easily coax them into like, oh man, I don't know that. Let me see if there's something about this vocal. Do a couple things, and kind of lead them to like, this is not right. You should fix this. But that's your job. You're the engineer. You follow that. If they're looking for insight, if they're looking for input, by all means, do that. if it gets to a point where you're now doing way more than you should, then, you know, maybe you need to have that discussion with the artist of like, you know, I'm doing a lot more like producer style work. You know, maybe we could say co-produce on the thing. And that could be like, you know, conversations over lunch, in theory. JP, what's going on? You're awesome for just understanding, Lawrence. You're awesome for being here. And I'm going to go back to big, because it's my show. Let's see. Bops. I am the hairdryer handler from Leah. Spaceballs. It's so much lighter now. Oh, yeah. I could carry 2 or 3 of these things now. Boop, 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 boop. It's mostly audio. So yeah, like you just like, you know, as if in Studio One you would bounce the stems, export your stems, bounce the files in Ableton all at the same starting point, export it to its own folder saying like export waves or something like that, open up Studio One, drag it all in, everything lines up, go to town. That's how I would do it. We're jumping through. You guys are filling up the chat, which is awesome. I love seeing it. Thank you so much. I think I had transferred AIFF files from Pro Tools to Studio One, but it has to be made into audio files only. AIFF files are audio files. AAF files are something different. That's, I think, what we were talking about. Unless I'm doing something wrong. Yeah, Robert, AIFF is a lossless audio file format that's kind of outdated at this point. Not that it's bad, it's just nobody uses it anymore because Wave, like AIFF was it Mac? No, I think it was kind of both, but when it first came out, it was like it took up too much extra space that you didn't need because it was lossless, but it was a bigger file than Waves, and Waves are lossless as well. And Wave was both compatible on PC and Mac, so it was just like, it kind of fell off. It still exists, it's still there. It kind of just fell off. Sometimes you can't even please yourself. Blades. Do you need help? Oh, he goes on. Wait, never mind. Sorry, I take it back. But we can't forget that we are serving ourselves and not a customer. We have to be good to ourselves just like a customer. Yes, absolutely, Blades. Lawrence says yes, and then he goes on further, so we'll get into Lawrence's thing. It's hard as a low-end studio. Bops, I think you were talking about, I think you were typing that as I was talking about something, so I can't really follow up on that. Sorry, bud. 2 different tracks at the same time. I have a Keylab 88 and want to use it on 2 different tracks, but different instruments, if that makes sense. It does make sense. Footnote. I'm going to put it right here. I don't have anything that will do that. My MIDI knowledge is relatively limited, but if you were going to use one controller to record 2 tracks simultaneously, I believe, I don't think so now that I'm thinking of it, I believe you can change. Let's dive in real quick. So let's say I have my browser and I need a couple things. Maybe I need a presence where I'm just going to do like some kind of big chord, something. And I'm not going to actually play anything. I'm just going to put these in and let it load real quick. So there's our E piano, and let's do some kind of synth. Just we'll grab anything. I don't care. A lead, yes, bulb, or whatever this is. Okay, so 1 controller, 2 tracks simultaneously. And others in the chat will also help me if I am wrong, and I admit that sometimes I'm wrong, and that's fine. So if I want to record both this one and this one at the same time, what I need to do is, let's say I'm using like this little keyboard here. I believe it's about the channels that it's reading. That's going to that. That's that thing that's going there. I'm not missing anything. Well, I guess here's another question, Lawrence, is, are you running Studio One 5 Pro? Or it's Studio One Pro? Because then what you could do is create your own multi-instrument. So I can come over here and say new multi-instrument and drag this onto its own thing. And this is essentially the splitter for your plugins. It's your splitter for your MIDI, which would be really cool for you. So maybe what you want to do, and let me find my instruments over here. So maybe I want to pull my presence in. And I want to pull this presence in as well. And there we go. We already have a splitter. So we can come into here, and here's our MIDI notes, and they're coming in, and they're going to feed this presence, and they're going to feed this presence. And then you can refine it even more, and I can rename these if I really wanted, which I might, just for the sake of this. Let's rename to Blub, I think it was what it was called. Wait, rename. Why didn't you rename? Oh yeah, no, it's there, because I missed it. It's right in the middle. So there's Blub. EP big chord. Sure, let's do that. EP big chord. Oops, chord. So now we can see our instruments are actually named correctly. We go back to our multi-instrument, and it just didn't pull the names. So we're just gonna get rid of it real quick. And so I can do beep. Oh, you didn't pull the name. Did you pull the preset? I hope you pulled the preset. Oh, there's bulb. Oh yeah, there they go. So now it's essentially that. Here's my MIDI information. It's coming in, and it's going to feed these two instruments at the same time. Clearly the balance is way off. And I don't really use this all that frequently. So, this is a bit of an experiment for me, but this is like using the splitter. So your MIDI comes in, it can feed these different things, and you can come down here and you can change the note range for your different instruments. So maybe you just want your electric piano to be like the top half, and you want your synth bass to be like just the bass notes. So you can do stuff like this. So it will read the MIDI coming in, and if it's high notes, and again, it doesn't matter that you can't hear it. Maybe you can hear a little bit of bleed. Probably not. If it's high notes, it's our electric piano. If it's low notes, that was actually really cool. I like that note. That sounds cool. And then you can have overlap, but you have to balance things. So I'm going to take this one down. So let's just do this so you guys can hear it a little better, and I'll send this to the mix bus. So now you'll be able to hear it. And I don't have my MIDI controller hooked up, but here's our electric piano just on the top half. Our synthy bass line, but we have them overlapping here. And so one MIDI note is going to play both instruments at the same time, which is really cool. And we can also go in here and pan it if we want, or put plugins on here. We can add note effects to say, well, you know what? I want an arpeggiator, and I want that only on this thing. But it's not going to affect my... So this is really cool, and maybe you just sparked a thing, but you'd have to be running Studio One 5 Pro. Studio One Pro, really, because they had multi-instruments in earlier versions, but we're at Studio One version 5, so you need to be on Pro. Other than that, I don't think you can use one MIDI keyboard to record 2 tracks simultaneously. But again, others in the chat might correct me. I could be wrong. This is probably how I would do it, though. Let's catch up with you guys again. Does Project Import also bring tempo? It certainly can. Tempo can be imprinted into MIDI files. So if you do transfer a MIDI file over, you can session data, which is one of my favorite features. Then yes, from any other session, and I'm just going to open up this one just so we can see it. Every time I make a session that I'm going to record a video for or do a stream for, I open up this thing and I always pull in TTA vocals, but you can also bring in your instruments, and you can bring in like the events and the layers and the automation and all this stuff. And I believe, oh, here, tempo and time signatures. It's right out here up on top. It's not a checkbox over here. It's on the track because it's the tempo and time signature track. So if you're talking in Studio One, import session data, number 1, tempo and time signatures. I hope that helps. Don't suggest more cowbell, however. Yeah, no, never suggest more cowbell. I lost the chat. You guys are going crazy, and it's awesome. I do want to get to as many questions as I can today. Okay, here we go. You guys are talking about cowbell. I think if you can explain that that note clashes with the chord thing, the whole idea that you may get some respect from musicians. Absolutely, Bops, you certainly could. So it's really in how you approach calling something out to a client who might not be as receptive. If you kind of say it's like, I think I hear something. It's not your fault. You guys did great. Pat yourselves on the back. Let me listen to this because I think I can do better on something. And then kind of play it and lead them a little. Never in a negative way, though, because don't do that. Wave is lossless also unless you use one of the lossy compression algorithms. Yeah, but just standard waves are lossless. Someone mentioned broadcast files to me today. Well, there is a different wave file format, and it's a broadcast wave, but you don't need that. You just need standard wave. Wave is fine. I know this isn't related to tonight's topic. Tonight's topic is whatever you want it to be. Throw it in the chat, as Robert did. But it's a topic about Studio One. Hey, I know that. How do you drag in a tempo map file without changing the name of the song? Yeah, well, if it is something created in Studio One, just like we saw, import session data if you're running Pro, and you can import that tempo from it. Otherwise, you do have to, and let's see here, let's open up, not that one, let's open up this and go to tempo, and let me see if I can find a song. Oh, goodness. Where can I find a MIDI file with tempo data in my sessions? I think I'm going to have to go to these guys, well, this folder, and now I'm just diving in right now. What did they call themselves? Oh, what were they called? Not that one. Sundogs. That's the one. Let's see. MP3, session file, backup. S1 audio files, because we recorded at a different studio. Stems. There's my .song file. My tracks, my presets. Here, piano, MIDI. Did we really record it at... So you could do that. You could drag your MIDI file into your tempo track, but I guess we didn't have the Steinway grand piano. There's my MIDI data. It's definitely there. You can see it. You should be able to just drag your... That's not what I meant to do at all. Let's just undo a couple times. Oh, because I'm dragging like the actual MIDI, but if I drag the MIDI file, you can drag your MIDI file into your tempo track. Open MIDI file. And no modifiers will change anything. So you could just do that. You could have your session and then drag it into the tempo track, and that should work for you. I can't think of a song that has a different tempo. Well, I mean, this one compared to that one definitely does, but I don't think that song was at 120. It wasn't, because it wasn't recorded to a click track, which is what we talked about last week. But it was recorded with a band and they all played together. Yeah, broadcast wave, which is a little bit, 24-bit 48 with tempo data. Yeah. Arm both tracks to record and set the input. This is for Lawrence and his MIDI question. Let's set both to the same channel or Omni or every channel, and then you can play the same thing. But it is gonna be the same thing. So almost another way to do it is record one pass on take one, then duplicate the MIDI and just drag it onto the other instrument. That might be just as good. Any or Omni, yeah, same thing. Lawrence is running on Artist, so that's unfortunate. So yeah, I guess, Nix is here. What's going on, Nix? I guess a fallback is recording on one and then just dragging a copy of it. And you can just Control-C or Command-C, Command-V, Control-V, copy-paste, and then line it up. You'll be fine. I know what you're trying to do, where you're trying to just kind of do it quickly, but drag and drop and copy might be your best option. I saw that about the splitter. Yeah, it's really cool. A splitter for plugins and splitter for MIDI to make multi-instruments is fun. Let's see. I think you would have a split keyboard at the hardware to send two different MIDI channels and have the instruments that receive those MIDI channels. Correct. If you're looking for two parts at once that are completely different. Correct. Yeah, and you can set the range on the two different instruments to have one note playing one sound and the other side playing another sound, and pan them. Yes. Ziggy's here from PA. What's up, Ziggy? Robert, you got it. Cool. Catching up. Love that splitter / MIDI thing. No use for me because I suck at playing keyboard, but that's a cool thing I didn't really think of existing. Yeah, it is really cool to do the multi-instrument thing, and I'm just going to open it up because it's fun. And then there's this sound. Maybe not the arpeggiator, but I just like a nice stabby bwong. Nick, 3:30 a.m. and you can't sleep. Nick, I didn't forget your request looking for more insight about the Scope plugin. I just need to kind of do a bit more prep work on that one. It's a great suggestion, though. It will come out soon enough. Also, get some sleep, you madman. Lawrence, you're very welcome. Also, guys in the chat, thank you for also filling in info about MIDI for Lawrence. I hope you get it working for your session and your writing and your artists who you are going to enhance and help and always support. The only vids I've uploaded have been done with an EAD 10 or iPad. I am at a strange point. I'm actually fearful to make the next step. There's so much I'd like to do besides tracking drums or covers. Just do it, man. But Babinga, like, seriously though, I started this YouTube channel just because, one, I had questions that I couldn't find answers to. Two, I felt like I had a decent amount of knowledge. You guys be the judge of that, but don't tell me because I can't take that kind of rejection. But really, I'll be honest with you guys. The camera that you see, like at the beginning and the end of this one, the one that's up here doing the overhead shot that you might be able to, there's my hands, there they go. That's an old iPhone. My fader cam, which isn't working right now, so I'm not going to go to it. Old iPhone. Sometimes when one of those dies, I pull out this one. Sometimes when one of those dies or we do drum stuff in here, I pull out a different phone. And this is how I record all my videos for you guys. Like my face cam for here, this is the only one that isn't a phone. So this one is an actual, and this is just a webcam. This isn't even like a DSLR or anything like that. This is a webcam, which is maybe I don't even know, $150 or less. It's one of the Logitech ones, but not like the standard one. It's like a little step up. Webcam. iPhones. Phones. They like, don't worry about the equipment. Start putting the content out. As long as the content is there, you have a leg up because you've released something. And you can always improve over time. I didn't start off with this. I didn't start off with a lot of this stuff. You just keep building over time. Thomas calling out there's only 8 likes. I appreciate the likes. I really do. It definitely helps the algorithm. I just appreciate you guys being extraordinarily active in the chat tonight. Oh, boo. Uh-oh. Everybody's saying, was I buffering? Is everybody cool? It looks like it's all still cool. I think everything's all right. Hey Tim, new handle for playing Studio Steve 69. Welcome, bud. Cheers Tim for insomnia. Good Nick. I'm glad you have insomnia. I'm not glad you have insomnia, but I'm glad you're here while it's actually happening. Let's see. I think I jumped way down because you guys are saying that I was freezing, but I think something just happened. But let me know if everything's still cool. On my end, it looks good. I was getting the freeze. Oh, dragging the track instead of the tempo track. Yes. So Robert, you can drag your MIDI track into your tempo track and it'll pull, as long as it's has MIDI or tempo data embedded into it. You can pull the tempo from the MIDI by just dragging it in. That might also be another video, but I think I'm gonna have to have a buddy of mine write like a tempo map or something, or I might have a tempo map. I'll also have to double check, make sure I haven't already put a video out like that. It's going in the book. Also, I just want to make sure, because Gregor just put a video out today about drag and drop magic. I want to make sure that he's not taking my idea. I'm watching you, Gregor. Gregor's awesome. Drag MIDI tempo app and the pen died. Handy Sharpie. Tempo. Track. And there was something else too. Multi-insurance. That would be cool. You guys get to watch me write terribly. But you guys have seen that before. So you were doing it wrong. You weren't doing it wrong. You were still dragging it in, but the tempo track will actually take that information. Gregor just dropped a little ditty, not per se on the tempo track format. Curse you, Gregor. Curse you. When I dragged the tempo map file to an empty track, it would change the song name. Yeah, that's kind of what happened to me, and you saw it happen. I dragged the I don't even know what they call that. Like just the MIDI data, but not the MIDI file in, and it created a new song, which I'm going to delete later anyway. Uh-oh. Hang on. Every single time. It jumps around. Okay, let's see. Robert, I think you do a great job, Tim. I learned a lot from this channel. Robert, that's thrilling to hear. I'm glad you learned. Every time somebody tells me that they learned something in videos, it really, like, it means a lot because it's helping. And that's important to me. Important to book. Let's catch up. Lawrence, do you use your drums as MIDI? If so, how does it sound? My drums sound fine as MIDI. It really, your MIDI drums can sound really good. It comes down to a couple different things. It comes down to the drum instrument you're using, whether it be Impact or a third-party one. And then it comes down to the balancing of it within the song. And then it comes down to the processing of it. There's some people out there who say that you don't need to do processing to a sampled kit or a drum VST because a lot of that stuff is baked in already. Some of it is, yes, but it doesn't always suit the song. So you are absolutely always able to go in and manipulate it more. Throw another compressor on there. I put a video out not too long ago about how to make program drums work for you. And I had program drums and I made them trashy as heck. And it made the song. It helped elevate the song to a different level. So yes, this drum kit right here, that's my E drum kit, but I also have an acoustic drum kit that doesn't come out that often because I have kids and a wife and I don't want to get rid of them because the kid's playing the drums and the wife leaving. Yeah, she wouldn't. But still, they're loud. The drums. And the kids. Goodness, it's getting warm in here. Tim, who makes your mic arm? This mic arm right here, this is the one from Rode. This is the PSA 1, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, my buddies over at Rode sent this over a while ago. But they're like super cool guys. And they also sent over this shotgun microphone. This is the NTG4 Plus. So it's a really awesome shotgun microphone. I was using this for a good long while in my videos. And then I switched over to this. And relatively soon I might switch again because why not? I like changing it up. And honestly, it's a good way for you guys to hear different microphones. All right, cool. So there, it must have been just some kind of hiccup in maybe the YouTube servers and why everybody's video was freezing. But it's good to see. Thank you for answering that it's good on everybody else's end right now. I need to convert those old 8mm tapes once I get rid of the motel scenes. Bops, I regret reading that out loud, but I know why you're doing it because you're you. Catching up. Yes, when I was on URM, they gave us a Tempo Max to drag into a DAW. Whenever I did it in Studio One, it kept messing up on me. Now I know why. Drag it into the tempo track. And a lot of the bands that go on URM already have like they have tempo maps because in different sections maybe they speed up a little, maybe they slow down a little, or the hardcore breakdown. So. Use a Canon M200. Those things are great. I've heard lots of really good things. For his YouTube recordings, this is Blades, obviously. With the Pixel 3 is my secondary cam, and when needed for a few inexpensive, newer lights, which make a big difference. Yes, lighting really makes a difference. You want to see how much of a difference it makes? I only have like a lot of the mood lights on and one light over here. Here's how much lighting can make a difference. And this is a $5 lamp from Home Depot. It's like one of the work lamps and like an LED bulb in it. Ready? Remember this now. Massive difference. Now this isn't pointed directly at me. It's bouncing off a wall. This way it's a nice soft light. But we're going to go back to this because I kind of like this darker mood. It's late and I'm cool showing a little bit more color in the background. But yeah, lights really help bring out everything when you're recording. Which is why I have a bunch of them in here. And it's also why it's really warm in here. Let's see, next. I really work remotely without having to keep going back to the computer. Something banged. It's not you. You're dead. You go on that charger. Something dinged, that doesn't matter. Steve says he always unbakes if possible and do his own processing on the drum samples. Yeah, that's another option if you're using something that has the ability. I think like Superior Drummer has like, or maybe Addictive Drums, they have like processors built in, like compressors and EQs. You can bypass all that stuff and then throw your own stuff on to get the sound that you're going for your MIDI drums. Secret sent me a direct message in Discord. Secret, I did get it. I just haven't had a chance to answer. I can find. Give me a little bit, and I'll get those answers to you. I did see your message though, and I'm sorry I didn't answer you sooner. That's something that's on me. All right, I've had parts of tunes I've wanted to use as hooked samples for ages. Will I have the ability to cut sections out of tunes and use them as parts? Yeah, that's the basics of sampling. That's what sampling is. Now, how like recognizable those parts are once you cut them up and resample them, that's when you get into things of like, you know, making sure that the artist that you're taking those sections from is properly compensated, you know, actual sampling. You can't just take from a person's song and call it your own. You need to give them credit. Now, if it's something like a droning note or something like that you don't necessarily have to, but if you start using like drum beats and you're not doing too much, or like a chorus of something and you cut it up, that's when you get into like, okay, now I need to contact this person and say like, hey, I've made a song with your thing. Can I use it? Et cetera, et cetera. That's the basics of sampling. But that's what you're looking into there. Babinga is sampling. It would also be good to know how to create one in Studio One. So if we send it to a mixing engineer, it would act all weird. He's talking a tempo map. All you need to do is, what is that thing you need to do? There is a way to export the tempo map. I have a video showing how I did it. Export. Hang on. Wait, where is it? There, I know I have a video on it. It's actually kind of old at this point, where I'm too busy looking. Where I went over the band that tracked live, and I made them a tempo map so that they could practice to it to lock in like their guitars and everything when we went back into the studio. So definitely check out for that one. It's how to create a tempo map. So you can obviously create a tempo map in Studio One. Where's my mouse? Here it is. Yeah. You can definitely create a tempo map. Let's see. I learned a lot from the vid you did with the drums. Which one, Harley? Are they talking about the one that just came out, going over the DM7 kit, or are you talking about the video with the drums where, you know, tell me which one, Harley. We can go into a little bit more detail about some of that stuff. Did you guys watch my most recent one where I showed off the Presonus DM7 drum mic set? Have you watched that one? What did you think? Tell me, what did you think of the sounds pre-processing and post-processing in the rough song that we have going on? Let's see, Thomas, and I guess that also wife can be loud sometimes. No. At least that's his experience with wives. I hear you, Thomas, but no. I'm kidding. Just bought my son the Elisa Surge mesh kit. That's the exact one I have. This is the Surge. It's very good. It gets the job done for me. Eventually I might buy the other cymbal. Come on, focus. Focus. If I come back here. Autofocus on this camera is going crazy right now. There it goes. There it goes. So yeah, this is also the Surge kit, which I think is really fine. And my kids love playing on this thing, and I don't mind them playing on this one. I think I'm going to use it myself. Yeah, absolutely. I have a USB extender because obviously it's back here. The brain is, you know, back over here. but then it feeds into this computer. And so instead of just a straight cable, I got a long USB Amazon Basics 10-foot USB cable, and I wrapped it all around my room, and now the USB goes from the brain straight to my computer. Works fine. Works great. As long as I remember to turn the USB on that thing, which is my one downfall to that, or one downside to that. But other than that, whatever. Easy Drummer 2 lets you bypass the comp, verb, and ambience. There you go. So that's a good drum VSTI that lets you bypass that stuff. Sampling might be another good topic for this channel, and how to use them in Studio One. There's other guys that they do sampling a lot and they use Studio One. I can do a very basic version of that because sampling is not really something that I do very frequently, but yes, absolutely. Sample One in Studio One, obviously inside Studio One, is really great for it. There's lots of very simple things you can do where you can, it like almost automatically chop up your source file and then load it into Sample One and then play it on a MIDI keyboard in different sections. So that might be easy enough to put together. So let's write that into the book. Robert and Babinga. It's going in the book. Yeah. Sampling with Sample One. And that's how I'm going to write it. And that should be enough for me to remember what I'm talking about. So, great suggestions. Sacred, no worries. I also asked a follow-up. I'll check it. Shamim so actually, out of concern, interest for the artist's story. Well, Sacred, here's your artist. That's my song, bud. So, ask away. Really like my Pearl Mimic Pro because it's pretty raw. If audio recorded directly can be processed in the box. Still MIDI till almost the end. Very cool. I'm using Catalina as my Mac OS. Are you familiar with how S1 works in Big Sur? I'm not familiar. I am also on Catalina. I am not on Big Sur. I know Catalina is stable. I believe other people who even are using the M1 computers are on Big Sur, and they're having a pretty good time every once in a while. Maybe they're having some issues. I think it's mostly stable, but Harley, I would reach out to Studio One or the Presonus directly and their service line. Honestly, reach out to Johnny Lipsham on maybe Facebook or something, because he'll tell you. Although what Presonus will tell you is that it's not fully compatible yet, and they are working on it. And I know that they are, but that's the official statement from them so far. But other people have been using it, so hit or miss. In agreement there. It sounds like something fairly basic. What's going on, D. Humphrey? How you doing? Thanks for coming out. Mika's here. Everyone so far is doing pretty well, Mika. Thank you for asking. At least, I don't mean to speak for the entire group. This group is doing okay. This group. Me. Yeah. At that distance, would it be easier to simply turn off camera's autofocus if it stays aimed and framing the same shot? Yes, and I thought it was off. I don't know why it's not. And maybe I can go into the properties real quick. And configure video. Here it is. Autofocus, focus, camera control, focus, auto off. Hey, and we're still in focus. Look at that. And I was able to do it live. Let's see, 2 kids, a wife, but luckily the sleep right through, and I've been practicing drums until 3:30 every night. So yes, thankfully my kids are really great sleepers. My wife doesn't mind that I do these shows, whether she's watching TV, talking to her friends, or anything like that, because I'm in an isolated room, which is kind of separated from most of the rest of the house. So it's pretty good. Igahan, I've heard you're a legend amongst everyone here. Look forward to engaging with you. Yes, yeah, Mika's a brilliant engineer. Did you know you could export a sample one instrument and then load that into Presence for further modification? Do I know if I can? Or are you telling me that I can? Did you know? So he's telling me you could export a sample one instrument and then load that into Presence for further modifications. No, but that's awesome, and probably something I can add into the video. So Mika also adding to sampling with sample one. Sends to Presence. There we go. See? It's in the... Oh, goodness. It's in the book. There we go. Yeah, I have to write my ideas down, at least for videos, because otherwise I'll forget all of them. I tried doing it electronically for a little while. That worked okay, but I never got through everything. I could probably find them in, like, the Google Cloud or something, but... Notebook. Can't go wrong with the notebook. Made a sample instrument from a bagpipe a while ago, but I didn't import into Presence. Yeah, you don't necessarily have to, but you can, because then you can pull it into Presence, and then you can do like your modulation and stuff to the sounds and use like the effects and everything that's built in. I need to get a little deeper into MIDI. I don't really touch into it too much, but it seems like I should, because it'll help you guys. Yeah, I also need to dive deeper into sound variations, both for audio and for MIDI. That's a lot of open doors with sound variations, so we'll get into those things eventually. Humphrey, I'm all right, bud. My friend, so that cable you showed, are there lesser priced long cables that I could buy that won't break the bank? Well, this one... This is the Amazon Basics one. And I think down in the description should be a link to an Amazon store, which I think is in there. And these are cheap. These are $10, $20 maybe. I don't remember exactly how much this was. I mean, it was cheap enough that I bought 3 of them, and I only used 1. So I would just go with the Amazon Basics one. It works fine. It wraps around my little room here. I wouldn't suggest it, but you could start like, what am I even looking at over there? You could loop a couple of them together, but maybe throw like a powered MIDI hub in line just to give it a little extra power down the line. But these things they're cheap and they work. Pull into Presence like ambience. No. Pull into Presence like the instruments, like this. You can create a sample one, so I can just go like this real quick. Audio, send to new sample one, beep, and then let's, where's the button? I forget exactly where it is. I think there's a, well, here's edit sample. I have to mess around with sample one a lot more. Whoops, not what I meant to do. But then from in here, you could store the preset, store instrument and effects preset, or export sampler file, export multi-sampler, export preset. So you can do all of the export things into here. And there are the modulation and delays and all these things into here. But if you needed like the LFOs, because there's only one LFO on sample one, but there is the amp. So if you needed more LFOs, you needed to adjust your attack, decay, sustain, release, things like that. Then you could. That's why you could also send, that's why he's saying you could send it to Presence, which is very handy. Mapping. Here's your mapping, which is cool. Envelopes. And if I wanted to record my own sound for sample one, but we're not going to do any of this stuff now. We'll have to save that for a future thing. Join the Discord. Link in the description. Yeah, no, Presence is the virtual instrument in here. Good evening and good weekend to all from Blades. Blades might be jumping, and that's fine. Thank you for coming and hanging out, Blades. You guys are talking about the Midnight Bar. Midnight Bar is a Zoom session where a bunch of people get together and continue to talk shop. So I'm sure in a little bit, Music to Motion will drop a link in the chat over here. And he may also just drop a link into the Discord in case you don't see anything in the chat here. If using USB 3, 5 to 10 gigabits, invest in a good cable. About $20. Example for UAD interfaces. Yeah, I mean, like USB 3, 5 to 10 gigabit. Well, USB 3.2 is the 10 gigabit one. That's essentially USB-C. Yeah, I mean, yes, you can spend a little bit more money on your USB cables, your extenders. USB only goes so far over the cable, so don't extend too much, but you can extend a good amount. Lollipop. The Studio One has many hidden tricks built in. You have to hunt and peck for them. Yes, you absolutely do. There's the link. The Midnight Bar should start very shortly. Yeah, because I think we're getting ready to wrap up. This was really, it was a talk with you guys. It was a catch up. It was answering your questions in real time. And, you know, I like doing these kinds of things. Since there's a bunch of people here, and I can kind of extend this a little bit further, I'm going to ask you guys a question. This came up with a couple buddies of mine recently. How would you guys feel if I started to do interviews with other engineers on this channel? I have lots of friends that are out in the world doing all kinds of great music productions. Is that something you guys would want to see? And if you want to see something like that, do you want to see it in a live format, kind of like this? Or do you want to see it in more of a produced thing? I'm thinking it's going to be maybe a mix of both. A lot of things are dependent. A lot of things are very dependent. One, where the person is. Two, scheduling is, you know, it's going to be huge. That's going to be one of the biggest logistic things is scheduling. You know, trying to line up my schedule and their schedule. So we'll see. Let's see. C is a connector, not a USB standard. It's a good connector. Yes, C is the connector, but yes. Nice to just talk to him. Yeah, sometimes you just need a therapy session like we did today, where you just need to get stuff off your chest and your mind and talk it out. And that's kind of what we did today. But we also got into some stuff that was pretty cool. Multi-instruments, making your own, touching into sample one a little bit, and touching into some other stuff. Let's see. People are enjoying the idea of starting to do interviews on here. Everybody's liking that. There's a vote for live interviews. Live or pre-record. Okay. Great. Thanks, Pops. Live, maybe not live stream, but live type format. Like just a conversation would be awesome. Yeah, that was kind of what I was thinking, is like just talking to the person and, you know, maybe cutting out like dead air and stuff like that, but really keeping it to whatever we're talking about. I would have to do a lot of, I know a bunch of guys that would definitely be interested in joining in with that. But I would have to kind of make like announcements, because I would also want you guys to be involved and ask questions to these people, whomever they may be. So I got to think a lot of logistics first. I got to think a lot of details, especially if I'm going to start doing stuff in person. Like if I go to some of my buddies' studios, I got to figure out how I'm going to do that. I got to figure out a bunch of different things. So let's see. USB-C just seems so small and more likely to break. Not. One, you shouldn't be abusing your cables like that. Two, not as much as you'd think. Honestly, the square, what is that? The square USB gets stepped on all the time, but the rounded one kind of deters some of that crush. Great to see you here tonight. Thank you, Mika. Great to see you here. Sorry I came in late. You didn't come in late. You came in at the right time, bud. Had a jazz guitar viola duo. Very nice. My blue bottles sounded amazing. Mika, the blue bottles, that's the one with the replaceable cap, and it has the big case, if you have the big case of the different heads. Which heads did you use? I'm curious. Both would be good. You could pick a topic for produced video and general stuff for the live show. Also an idea. Lawrence likes the idea of talking to people. Whatever format is easier for me. I appreciate that, Steve. I believe that could be great. I think that you should round up topics and you get common questions in some topics, then interview those, specializing those not. Yep. Or experienced in an area with heavy voices, or just those live, give variants and fills neat. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of options. It's something I'm playing with, and I think we might get into doing some stuff like that. We could do a whole show on slurries. I was thinking between two shores. Bops. Oh, bops. Stop abusing cables. Last noob question from Babinga, and this might be where we kind of wrap things up. So let's go with Babinga's last noob question, and thanks. You're welcome, Babinga. That was easy. No. When recording drums, do I want all my volume maxed on my interface and control everything from S1? Should I have volumes set up for drums? So you want to record... Okay. You want to record the best signal going into your interface and essentially into Studio One. So you want to make sure that you're not clipping your inputs, because you can't undo clipping your inputs. You want to leave the headroom, especially for drums. You want to leave that headroom so that you can hit it hard. You're going to do your sound check and you're going to hit it hard and it's going to sound good. And then you're going to start playing and you're actually going to hit. You want to leave yourself a little bit more headroom than you think. And you want to get everything a relatively same kind of level. Now, when you hit just your kick drum and you set your level, it's going to be, and I'm going to try and use my arms on the screen. It's going to be here. Here's your peak level of your kick drum. And then you're going to do your snare drum and you're going to do the same kind of thing, and it's going to be about the same. When you get to your overheads, it's going to be kind of weird because the overheads have to hear everything. And so you kind of have to stop. Like, you start playing the whole drum kit to get your overhead levels. Play the whole drum kit. Don't just play the cymbals. Play a beat and watch your levels of your overheads and then dial those in, because they have to listen to everything. And then you can mess with the faders in Studio One to get the volume balance for like your ears or your mix or anything like that. But you always want to get the best possible signal recorded in. The B2 for the viola and B5 for the guitar. Very nice there, Mika. Very nice. Music to Motion, just above Mika's question, dropped another link for the Midnight Bar, which is going to be starting shortly after the show, which is wrapping up. We're just kind of reading through chat, catching up with everyone. Good time tonight. Great info. Thanks, Finn. Harley, you're very welcome. Don't clip the converters. No, unless you need... For now, don't. Don't worry about clipping your converters. Don't push your converters. Hear me now. Believe me later. Good night, Tim. Great to see you live again. Steve, thanks for coming in and hanging out. It was great seeing you here. You can use a Clipper plugin later if you want to raise the volume or limiter. You can also use both. Yes, you can. But a Clipper will not do the exact same things that a limiter will do. So that's why you can use both. But yes, absolutely you can. Intersample peaks can be as much as 20 dB over VU peaks. Keep things cool. Exactly. It's easy to make things louder. It's bringing it down after it's too late. That's the harder thing to do. Love the insight, Tim. Bobs, thank you so much. Oliver, everybody, before we go, say happy birthday to Brian's son, Oliver. So, Oliver, actually, Johnny Lipsham did this. He did this for my daughter when it was her birthday, and he was doing a show. So I'm thrilled to do it for Oliver. Oliver, from all of us here at Tim Talks Audio and everybody that's here watching the live show, we want to wish you a happy birthday. You're getting so big. We're so proud of you. I don't know why I'm saying this. Oliver, go eat a ton of cake, get all sugared up, and just enjoy it, man. Now's the time to be like crazy, but enjoy it. All right. Happy birthday. Enjoy it. I'm out of here. There's a great show, everyone. Thanks for coming and hanging out. There's a link to the Midnight Bar. If you want to hang out and chat some more shop, head over there. Until next week, until 2 weeks, we are going to skip next week. So 2 weeks from now, that's when we'll get back into shows. And then August is going to be kind of weird as well. We'll worry about that some other time. You're very welcome, Brian. Oliver, again, happy birthday. Have a great night, everyone, and enjoy your weekend. See ya.